Welcome back. As I mentioned, we have Ann Mundell Noel here on behalf of Amazing Hearing. Well, welcome. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Lisa, for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I know you guys are always very busy helping everybody understand something that you said to me before we came on, to understand what normal hearing isn't. And we'll go through that a little bit, right? Because sometimes I think we don't necessarily really listen or hear what we're hearing. Like, is it just wax in my ears? Is it something else? So we'll talk a little bit about that. So give me an idea of, the ear is a very complex system.
It is, and what people need to realize is that when we hear the organ going from the sound going through your ear canal to the eardrum to the brain is the pathway, but then it's up to the brain to do the work. So what we're trying to do with hearing is to maximize that signal, right? Getting it right up to the brain, the fullest, clearest signal that you could get. So when we start to have hearing loss, it means that the signal isn't getting all the way up to the brain. And that's when you start to notice those little things where you're not just catching as much as you used to. And people need to pay attention to those signs because improving your hearing is the #1 thing you can do to prevent cognitive decline and balance issues and those kinds of things.
Well, and socialization and so many different things. And we were just experiencing that with my father, who's 93, never got hearing aids, and he was withdrawn. Then you finally got him something, and he's so much more alert, so much more willing to participate. So it really does make a huge difference. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, why it's important to train our brain to really pick up what issues we're having.
Right. So what happens is it's a very simple concept, but you have to remember the brain cannot remember what it doesn't hear. If it doesn't get a full signal, if it doesn't hear it fully, it can't remember it because we're taking all of our time to get the message in and think about, did you say me or knee? We don't have time to process it and then retain it because there's only a certain amount of time and then we're on to other sentences. So people who are having issues with memory, it might be hearing related.
Isn't that interesting? And then one thing I want to go back to is the whole hearing spectrum, is that there are different parts where you can have failing hearing. And when you do the testing, your results can show where that happens, right?
Exactly, and we talked about it being a complex system. It could be in the outer ear, it could be in the middle ear, it could be in the inner ear, and those are things that we check. And people don't realize that the hearing system and the balance system are in the same bony structure, and the fluid between them is continuous. So when we have balance issues, it might be hearing related. And so people need to kind of look at that, especially as we get older and our blood flow doesn't flow as well. It's both sides that get affected.
Yeah, it's attached to a lot of different things as we're finding out. So one thing that is very helpful is that if you do have hearing aids, or actually, tell me what a T-coil is. How does it work? Does it work with existing hearing aids? Does it work with somebody who doesn't have hearing aids? How does it actually work?
So I think we have there we go, we have a slide of what a T-coil is. So what a T-coil is it's a loop that goes around a room, and then that loop is hooked into a microphone. So when I speak into the microphone, if you put your hearing aid on T-coil, or you have a separate device that we'll talk about in a minute, you can then take that signal and it goes right into your hearing aid. So it's like I'm talking right to you. So before it used to be, I want to sit in the front row because I want to get the best seat, I want to be closest to the microphone.
Okay.
Now, if you have a T-coil and you sit within that space, it doesn't matter if you're in the first row or the 50th row, you're still getting that signal right into your ears.
But it's only for those people who already have existing hearing aids who have a T-coil option.
Correct.
Okay. Tell me about the hearing aids with T-coil options, because is that something that could start at the basic ones, or?
Yes, most behind the ear hearing aids, the RIC that we call them, have it in it, and it just needs to be activated. So a lot of people might have that in their hearing aids, but maybe it's not a program yet that the audiologist or the hearing aid dispenser has activated.
Okay.
But when it is in the hearing aid, you do definitely either have to push a button on the back of the hearing aid, or there's an app on your phone, and you have to go to where it looks like this signal. So when we start to see this sign, that's usually what it's on the app. but that
Oh,
is
okay.
an indication that there's a T-coil present. So what happens is Widex, which is one of the manufacturers, in their rechargeable hearing aid, they previously did not have a T-coil because they have the smallest hearing aid in the industry.
Okay.
Now through this sound assist, you have the ability to turn it on and have a T-coil. So you can use the T-coil when you want to or not.
Is it like a Bluetooth device?
So this does Bluetooth. This is a kind of a specialty device for Widex rechargeable hearing
okay,
aids,
okay.
but it has Bluetooth so that I could use it to talk to you, or I could use it as a T-coil. I could use it to answer my phone. So that's a multifunctional device.
Okay.
But just in general, giving people who have the Widex moment, who went with the rechargeable, there's now a T-coil option.
Okay.
But one of the things I want to talk about going back on the T-coil is that here in Laguna Woods, we really have an amazing system set up of looking at where the T-coil is active. The Performing Arts Center was just looped last November. So what that means is that when people utilize the microphones in that system, they can now use the T-coil. But I guess part of the problem is sometimes performers come in and use their own sound system, and they're not using the Laguna Woods Performing Arts system, and then the T-coil isn't active.
Okay.
But many of the clubhouses now have the T-coil. Many of the churches, in fact, we just put St. Nicholas, I guess, is really actively starting to pursue
good.
that, which is great. A lot of people have been asking for that. Our own office is looped. So if people have a T-coil and they want to come in and see, hey, does it work? How does this work? They could even come into our office, stand there, turn on the loop, and one of the TVs, or turn on the T-coil, and one of the TVs is looped, so they could test it out for sure.
And that's great that more and more people are getting that. And one thing you have to remember is that, you know, you can always call ahead, or you can look online and see what they have available. Now, you've got some items over there that you are showcasing, and you are still recycling.
We are. So we still collect plastic bottles and aluminum cans. They definitely have to have the California CRV on them. So we're not collecting any recyclables, only plastic bottles and aluminum cans. But they can be the large water bottles as well. But next week, March 22nd, is World Water Day. So it's just an awareness to the world, or to people here, to know that the majority of the world does not have clean drinking water. So by collecting the plastic bottles and aluminum cans, we continue to put water wells in Uganda by saving those.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for the information and the update on T-coil, because it really is becoming more and more popular as we have an aging population, and you know, many people still very active and would like to go to plays and things. So
yes, and I would just like to shout out to Tony Barriant of the Hearing Loss Association of Mission Viejo is the new name of the group, but with the formerly the Hearing Well Club, that she has been an amazing advocate for the T-coil, and if people are benefiting from the T-coil, that they would really support her and support Laguna Woods in getting more.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you want more information about the T-coil, or any information or questions about your hearing, please feel free to call Amazing Hearing at 949-667-9818. We'll be right back.